With over 1,400 videos uploaded to the platform, and an accumulation of over 2 million subscribers, Abba and Preach have made a name for themselves by simply reacting to viral clips and controversial topics, whilst adding humor and giving fairly direct, opinionated takes. In the 14 years since they started their channel, they've taken shots at countless influencers and creators, ranging from red pill giants to cosplaying gangsters.
You wanna watch my clips? Watch my clips. Watch my clips. You want me to watch your clips? Watch my clips. These are the only clips I'm watching, you were?
What is it with them and self-snitching? Yeah, I'm gonna come to your house and then wave a gun and then film it and broadcast it. Then you're gonna blame the Matrix. That's what boggles the mind. Yo, the Matrix this, the Matrix that. You get deplatformed off the Matrix and then you try to go back to the Matrix and then you snitch on yourself. And then you're gonna blame the Matrix. Yo, God damn, my dude.
Red pillers really be like, the Matrix.
To others who simply spewed the worst takes imaginable while in front of a camera.
So do you agree with that premise that slavery was embellished? Or no?
I think that there are parts that are under embellished and there are parts that are over embellished. I think it just depends what we're talking about.
That's so interesting. I've got to know what was over embellished about slavery.
No! Oh, that's a trap.
Just because the story that he told himself with the movie of Roots isn't real does not mean the things depicted in there didn't happen. That doesn't mean that that was embellished. The reality of slavery was far darker than the Roots movie could have ever shown. That's just a fact.
And 9 times out of 10, all they gotta do is laugh hysterically to get their point across.
To wrap that up, or you're saying to me that you're trying to have your cake and eat it too, which is a bad analogy because if it's my cake, I can eat it, right? All of it.
I think you misunderstood the analogy. Having my cake, eat it too. It's not about you can eat your cake. Everyone can eat their fucking cake, potato. The whole point is like the cake is a... No, that's so stupid.
However, anyone who watches their channel religiously knows that no one has really received the brunt of their comedic rants worse than Fresh and Fit.
You made me 30 plus videos talking.
Actually, it's 44 video. Actually, it's now up to 72. Yeah, and we're gonna keep going. Number 73 right here.
It seems like every other week, the duo has been relentlessly roasting them. Made up of red pill figures Walter Weeks and Myron Gaines, they went from strength to strength, trying to one-up their opponents at every opportunity. But with their YouTube channel demonetized due to their controversial takes and racist rhetoric, they've been handicapped against Abba and Preach, whose massive channel continues to benefit from an algorithm that favors the content that they create. But how did we get here? And is there any way for an attempt at a comeback for Fresh and Fit after this humiliation that they endured? It's your boy Louaista, live from Extras, and this is how Abba and Preach destroyed Fresh and Fit once and for all. First, a little background on how Fresh and Fit became the center of their crosshairs in the first place. To understand how Fresh and Fit rose to prominence, it's important to recognize that their success was built by appealing to what's commonly known as the red pill audience. At its core, this space is made up of men, or alpha males as they like to call it, who believe that they're standing up for male issues and giving young men a voice that they feel has been ignored by mainstream in favor of modern feminist narratives. And like any movement, it includes a wide range of people, including those who take things too far. The phrase red pill itself originates from a 1999 film called The Matrix. In the movie, the choice represents a fork in the road, which is one option meaning that they stay comfortable inside the system as it is, while the other represents waking up to the uncomfortable truths and stepping outside of that illusion.
You take the blue pill, the story ends, you wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill, you stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
Along those lines, the men's red pill community represents a group of guys who are tired of the anti-male propaganda from the larger society. A subset of this community are those men who speak out against the unfair treatment of men when it comes to dating, marriage, divorce, and child support.
So basically, in the Matrix, there's an artificial reality, a computer-generated reality, and people are being harvested for their body heat in a real world, and their minds are being occupied by this computer-generated reality. And the basic premise of the show is that their body is being used for what is important, and they just distract their minds so that their body can stay alive long enough to give the machines what they want.
Now, to be clear, Abba and Preach were not the only ones with a problem with what Fresh and Fit were selling, because the further that the duo drifted from the practical self-improvement content into full-blown red pill extremism, the louder the noise against them got, and it was coming from everywhere all at once.
You heard my L's, marrying a single mom, getting left out in the cold, basically in the car, never came downstairs. But today we're gonna talk about my W in terms of having 3 women in one day.
Let me stop you right there. I already don't believe you. It's super hard to think that anything they say is real when they constantly make stupid fucking claims like this one.
Not to mention they've both shown themselves to be frauds time and time again.
You know, we're both triple-digit notch count. He's in the quadruples.
There is no reality in the entirety of the fucking multiverse where this man has slept with one woman, let alone over 1,000 of them. Doctor Strange could peer into an endless multiverse and never find one where this guy has slept with 1,000 women. They just say a whole bunch of made-up bullshit constantly.
But even as they preached a path to becoming a so-called high-value man, telling men to build value through money, status, and discipline, and then use that leverage to control relationships.
I got 20 fucking real estate properties so I can tell motherfuckers, my net worth is over $6 million. I get money residually. I don't fucking need to do this shit, and I don't need to fucking sell my soul. I stand with my fucking friends, period. Alright?
They encouraged dominance over compromise, and justified policing women's social media, nightlife, clothing, and friendships, all while making delusional and borderline creepy remarks along the way.
Fit has advocated to go on dates with women where there's alcohol involved so that they can be loosened up.
Any date idea is gonna work, guys. It's just that the drinking one tends to have the best ROI because you're meeting her at night and it like loosens her a bit, right?
Oh, this is the rappiest take I think I've heard him say. If you're gonna go on a date, take him for a drink because it loosens her up and she loses her inhibitions. Please do not listen to people like this.
Give the ladies what they need too. You know, you have to take care of your women. We need alcohol. Everybody gets a little bit more comfortable and loose. We need locks on the door.
And the idea that they push that good women should be coachable, meaning willing to change and follow a man's program while any resistance is a red flag, is ridiculous considering multiple women later exposed that they allegedly weren't allowed on the podcast unless they slept with them. But more on that later, as it plays a crucial part in the story. On top of that, they claim that modern women want traditional men without being traditional themselves, as well as warning men away from long-term relationships and pushing self-improvement as leverage to spin plates or pursue younger, more submissive women, thus creating their own ideology of female nature and feminism as a whole.
Define feminism real quick so we know that we have the same, because I don't think you have it.
I particularly cannot define that to you. The dictionary word, I can't.
Stupid.
Okay, call me that. I don't give a fuck about none of that. But I'm saying
only women get the privilege of being stupid. Men can't. Stupid. Like if a guy is stupid, he starves. He doesn't make it in life. If a woman is stupid, she could find a millionaire to take care of her if she's hot enough.
Although there was tons of backlash, their content was undeniably a main fixture of many people's daily content consumption. Despite eventually being demonetized on YouTube and banned on Twitch, they still amassed millions of followers and over 200 million views on YouTube alone. But it seems that the backlash overhauled any of the positive feedback that they received, because over time, the scrutiny that they received having this kind of mindset led to repeated crash outs, most of which were driven by Myron Gaines, who prides himself on having no filter, despite many seeing his takes as wildly off base, with one of the clearest examples being how they regularly kick women off the podcast the moment that they push back.
In this show, if I'm not allowed to talk.
Get the fuck out. Goodbye.
You and your show,
Okay,
my
get
nigga.
the fuck out of here.
I will get the fuck out of here. You give it's given you ain't get until you was 20-something years old.
Fantastic.
Fantastic.
It was actually 18. All right, you gotta go, man. You gotta go. You gotta go. You're wild.
Given how painfully well content like this racks up views in viral moments, it was only a matter of time before Abba and Preach, a duo known for tearing apart the worst takes on the internet, entered the picture. And in contrast, Abba and Preach built their platform doing the exact opposite. No shouting, no shock value, and no manufactured outrage. Instead, they reacted calmly.
I'm her mom.
So, and how come you're here? You gave her a ride?
Yes, I gave her a ride here today. I truly believe that if she chooses to try something new and I'm not aware of the company or the people that she's going to, I just want to make sure that she's safe. And that's why I brought her today, to kind of check things out for myself.
Yeah, for yourself.
Hang out.
hang out for yourself because you wanted some of that thing, and you know.
They analyzed public events, explained the logic, and broke down arguments piece by piece so that their message could be passed. Also, they watched full clips.
Today's topic. Yes, this is another YouTuber named Kai Cenat. There's a video in particular that someone sent me. They said, yo, you should check this out. So we are going to take a look today.
Reacting to videos they didn't quite agree with, pointing out the errors in their logic, and often using creators' own words against them.
Ideally, my husband needs to be making like.
Okay. My suspicion, she's going to say 175.
250.
250?
Like 650,000.
I was being.
They built their name by critiquing internet culture, viral ideologies, and YouTube personalities, always breaking down the logic rather than attacking the person, and that included the red pill space. So as their paths kept crossing online, a face-to-face was only a matter of time, and in February 2021, it finally happened. Abba and Preach flew down to Miami to appear on the Fresh and Fit podcast. On paper, this should have been the perfect reset. Same room, no edits, no clips taken out of context. Just a real conversation between two sides who'd been going back and forth online. One of the main things Preach wanted to address was the fact that Myron had publicly labeled them blue-pilled, which again, is basically the opposite of red pill, demonstrating a worldview built around male dominance and hyper-traditional gender roles. Most people assumed it would be hashed out, both sides would agree to disagree, and that'd be the end of it. But to everyone's surprise, Abba and Preach didn't show up heated or ready to throw hands. They were simply calm, polite, and respectful. No insults, no yelling. But when Abba simply asked one question, that's when everything shifted.
So I did watch the podcast where everyone, so me and Preach, we did a video where I talked about how the red pill community was necessary, but I didn't agree with a lot of it, right?
Yes.
I know everybody got together and they said a bunch of stuff, and so I got a chance to watch it. I was like, what's going on, right? So during that live, people were like, yeah, Abba and Preach are trying to hedge. Right, they're trying to appeal to the masses, but at the same time keep the red pill kind of content, right? Specifically, you felt like we were kind of blue pilled, right?
Instead of standing by his words or at least explaining what he meant, Myron did the most cowardly thing possible. He denied remember saying it.
What show was this one?
This was on this was
Rollo Donovan. We were all together.
Donovan Sharp's live.
They did a video about basically the red pill, the RP basically like saying, because
we've got so many streams, bro. I'm trying to like remember which one.
Not that he was misunderstood, not that it was taken out of context. He just suddenly developed amnesia, and that's what made it so damning. Because Abba and Preach weren't trying to trap him, they weren't even pressing hard. They simply asked for accountability, and instead, they were met with pure denial.
I'm trying to remember. I would say I'm trying to think like which video was.
It was the one.
I'm trying to remember. Cause legit, we've done so many live streams. I'm trying to remember which one this was and what I said exactly.
And that's quite hypocritical for someone who always screams at the other gender for never taking accountability.
Guys don't like it when girls say signs and crystals and all other shit. Is basically what she does is she takes accountability away from herself and she puts it on the stars and the moon.
It's always, he's gonna find me. If it happens, it happens. If he breaks up with me, he wasn't the one. And it's always like this practice of deflection and not taking accountability to actually like do things. Like there's not a concentrated effort to actually achieve the goal. Versus like if I took that mindset and I said, oh, if I become a millionaire, if it happens, it happens.
At the moment, something became clear to the audience. Fresh and Fit weren't dealing with critics. They were dealing with living receipts. And Abba and Preach had already done their homework. They didn't argue, they didn't escalate, they just let the silence do the work. Because this wasn't just a debate loss for Myron, it was a full-blown credibility problem. And when you spend years confidently preaching to your audience, then suddenly can't remember a single word of it in the moment someone puts you on the spot face to face, people start asking very uncomfortable questions about everything else you've ever said. And from that point on, every response from Fresh and Fit was being watched differently. However, that didn't exactly affect how the episode played out, as the conversation actually settled in. No chaos, just a back and forth where you could slowly see how differently they saw the world, especially once they got into dating and intimacy. On one side, there were rigid rules about how men and women are supposed to operate.
They can no longer look at women with the same objective lens. They start to resent them and hate them because they're like, I have to pay this girl my hard-earned money to get any type of attention from her, and they don't really experience the benefits that come from dealing with women, and it gets them very jaded.
And also remember this, right? When you're paying for the P sleeve or the P box, what happens is you get lazy. So the game is out the window now, because guess what? Now you're relying on your money, leading with your wallet to get the girl.
Yeah.
But once again, that girl's only there for the money, so there's no respect, there's no genuine desire. And in this scenario right here, yeah, I know you said some guys are married and they go behind the scenes, whatever, but deep down, a man wants to be desired by women. And this is why people pay for OnlyFans, because they want the one-on-one with a girl, they want that genuine desire. If you just pay for it, okay, I'll you.
On the other, there was pushback against the black and white thinking, opposing the absolutism, considering the context and real-life dynamics.
If you're out there in the dating world and you're looking for that validation, I completely understand. Sometimes it's Saturday night and you just want to get your rocks off, and you know somebody knows how to tickle your balls the right way. You feel me? So you hit up, right? Like whether it's a booty call or whether it's something you paid for, like if you got the disposable funds for it, it's really not a thing.
Yeah.
And I say this because I know some girls who work in escorting, and they tell me like they got regular dudes, very respectful, they follow the same protocol, and for them it's just a good way to get their rocks off because they're into weird stuff, or maybe they're just like, man, I ain't got time, I work too much, I'm in town for a weekend, you ready? Cool, let's go, let's do this. And it's simple. So there's a market for it. I would agree that if guys are lonely or if they want that validation, that's not the way to go.
And the longer that they talked, the clearer the gap became. But the real problem wasn't the difference in opinions. It was that one side wasn't being honest about their own behavior. Because once the truth about Fresh and Fit's private dealings with women surfaced, the hypocrisy was impossible to ignore. And for a brand built entirely around the alpha male image and positioning themselves as authorities over women, that contradiction hit their credibility like a wrecking ball, triggering a chain reaction of controversy, backlash, and consequences that would spiral into one of the most humiliating public destructions in YouTube history. A real-life case study on how ego, hypocrisy, and bad decisions can bring an empire crashing down, engineered by two comedians from Montreal who simply refused to let the lies go unchallenged. So you'd think that after that podcast appearance, where Myron dodged accountability and the philosophical differences were laid bare, things would cool down. Maybe both sides would agree to disagree and move on. But this was just the beginning for Abba and Preach's focus on Fresh and Fit, because a few months later, they returned to that video to carefully analyze, break it down, and reaffirm their positions on the opinions they had expressed earlier.
Today's topic, me and Preach were both on this. So there's a discussion surrounding working women, girls who work in the bedroom professionally. And they were saying why they didn't want it to be legalized. And so they asked me and Preach's thoughts. And this is what happened.
We're dealing with these girls behind the scenes in person, right? How they look at these guys that are paying is different from what they're telling you in person, because they look at you as, okay, he's paying a need that I have, but I don't respect him. And for me, I don't want a bitch's pussy, I want her soul.
You ain't getting nobody's soul. The f you think you are, Ghostbusters?
This man said her soul. Look at your face right now. You're looking at the camera like, what is he talking about?
This was their attempt at bringing the discussion back into the spotlight, especially since they found some contradictory information about him.
Even more, what I find really distasteful is you come to find out that Myron Gaines himself, right, the so-called pickup artist, the master, has his own Seeking Arrangements account, his own profile, all right? This is on the web, you can find it. This man's out here talking about don't pay for box, don't pay for box. He's on a website for sugar daddies and sugar babies. Okay.
And that's where Abba and Preach's involvement made everything worse. By pointing out the contradictions in real time, breaking down statements, and exposing hypocrisy, they didn't just reignite the debate, they amplified the consequences, and that got Fresh and Fit angry.
Today's topic, all right, seems like the guys from Fresh and Fit are really upset.
We are better than you, period.
But this wasn't even the most troubling part about his interactions with women. At least in the case of the luxury dating site, the situation appeared more cordial and based on mutual consent. However, that was far from the case with the Anna Quinn situation, where she came forward online claiming that Myron tried to pressure her into sleeping with him for exchange for appearing on the show. It was a distasteful situation to many observers, though Fresh and Fit didn't seem to view it as that way, as they appeared to justify their approach rather than acknowledge any wrongdoing.
He said, no problem, I collab directly with girls I date, no pressure though. And I was like, so if we aren't dating, you don't want to collab?
So dating is much different than me or else you come on the show. You know what I'm saying? Which is what she was trying to insinuate, because in her video she says, oh, Myron bribes girls to get on the show to have she goes, bribing women with collaboration for sex is what she's saying. So I basically tell her, hey, just so you know, we're gonna work together, but I'm not trying to make this platonic at all. I'm being upfront and direct with her.
Guys, on the show, what do we say all the time? If you're gonna to a girl, let her know exactly
up front.
Don't waste time.
This woman is in California, guys.
Yep.
Okay.
For Abba and Preach, they weren't done asking questions and putting Fresh and Fit on the spot.
Then you come to find out this man's talking about, listen, if we want burning desire from ladies. Ain't that what they say? Right? You want to get their best, so you got to earn it. Come to find out, this man's telling girls in the DMs that if they want to come on the platform, they have to fuck, and if they don't, he gets upset about it and he gets all pissy. Oh, you fucked all my other boys. You won't fuck me, then you can't get on the platform. So wait, you want a girl who just wants to come on the platform for clout? And you think that's burning desire?
Their follow-ups felt more like documentation than a reaction video. Abba and Preach were cataloging behavior. Clips were replayed, statements were compared, and contradictions were highlighted.
And again, guys, I don't even care that he goes about that way to girls. Do whatever you want. You earned your platform. Go ahead. Me, it's the hypocrisy of these ideas. You preach to these men that they have to always seek this thing, that this is the way to live, that this is the best way, but you don't even walk the talk. That's what I find distasteful.
As a result of all of these exposés, the conflict stopped looking like YouTube drama and started looking like a credibility investigation. Because this time, the tone had changed. They weren't just disagreeing with Fresh and Fit's ideas. They were questioning whether the people giving the advice actually lived by it. And that's a far more dangerous accusation. From there, every response from Fresh and Fit made things worse. Instead of slowing down, they doubled down. And that played right into Abba and Preach's style. Because emotional reactions create more clips. More clips create more analysis, and more analysis creates more doubt on everything Myron and Walter stood for. So the cycle fed itself. Fresh and Fit would speak.
Y'all dumbass, the same tired background, same fucking million plaque. We got $200,000 plaques now, and we're gonna get a million plaque, and we're gonna get the other channel another million as well, and Fresh's channel gonna hit 100,000. We are better than you. Period. Get out of here, man.
Abba and Preach would then react to it.
You know what it's like? I love it that these guys call themselves alpha and all this other stuff. It makes me laugh because they got such bitch energy. It's crazy. Yeah. It's like when you're talking to a girl about a topic. You're talking. You guys seen this before. You know, you're talking to your girl about a topic and you guys having a discussion and she's losing the argument. All of a sudden she starts bringing up, your dick is small. What does that have to do with economics? It's like, they do the same thing.
Then the audience would compare, and each round chipped away at authority. Myron basically did the tell me you have a fragile ego without telling me you have a fragile ego challenge. A wise man once said, the loudest man in the room is the weakest man in the room, Frank Lucas. At the same time, Fresh and Fit were already drowning in backlash from other controversies. So instead of looking like strong figures under unfair attack, they just looked like a platform that was always surrounded by problems. That overlap completely changed public perception. It stopped being about two creators disagreeing and started becoming a question of why these guys are always in the middle of something. Because Fresh and Fit were trying to win arguments, but Abba and Preach were shaping the narrative and building a long-term case. And on the internet, the long game always wins. The question was never whether Abba and Preach would respond again. It was what Fresh and Fit would say next and how fast it would be turned into another exhibit. Because at this point, it evolved way beyond a clash of opinions and more into a slow, public dissection. Fresh and Fit had a choice: slow down, address the criticism calmly, and regain control of the narrative, or escalate and make everything worse. You can probably guess which path they chose. Instantly, they went into defense mode.
Our channel's better than yours. Facts. We get more views than you. We've been on less than you. We work harder than y'all. We cut our hair more than you. Like, yo, if y'all want to
we get more girls than y'all niggas.
Free.
In defense mode for a platform built on dominance didn't look like strength. Instead of addressing the breakdowns point by point, the tone shifted to frustration. Critics became haters, questions became attacks, and accountability turned into ego battles. And this is when things subtly changed in the audience's mind. Before, Fresh and Fit were seen as these confident leaders, while Abba and Preach were just two commentators. However, now it looks like Fresh and Fit were just overcompensating. Viewers started noticing the pattern, which they started pointing out in comments like, any man that says he's better than another man is simply showing his insecurity. This man said his haircut is better, but he's balding. For a man who accuses women of being emotional every time they have a point, he is very emotional himself. The calmer Abba and Preach stayed, the louder Fresh and Fit became. Fresh and Fit would even try to frame Abba and Preach's continued responses as betrayal.
The reason why we had that reaction was because we felt betrayed when they made that video that made us look kind of stupid.
I'm not gonna lie, when it comes to integrity, if I'm making a video about somebody, I made them in a bad light, I'm gonna say, yo bro, I'm doing this video, how you feel about this?
The framing didn't land the way they expected, because from the outside, it didn't look like betrayal. It just looked like scrutiny. They had made public claims. Those claims are now being publicly examined. And the more that they tried to paint themselves as victims, the more it clashed with the alpha, unbothered dominant image they built. In the middle of all this, Mr. Walter, aka Fresh, would get caught having relationships with multiple 304s who are clearly only into him for the money.
That being said, listen, that shorty there, bro, wants me for me. You said that she was very different from every girl you meet in Miami when I've heard you speak about every girl in Miami before. You generalized. No, that being said, when I met her, I saw she hadn't been tainted yet. Why do you think she's interested in you?
I feel like the first day that I met you, having that genuine conversation on the boat, like,
was it 60 foot long? Was it 85 foot?
Dude, she doesn't want club, bro. Honestly, she didn't want to do this live stream. She's doing this for me, so I appreciate her for that.
Do I know you?
And to make matters even worse, he would end up dating one that he eventually got knocked up and tried to abandon. These were the alpha males who preached against simping and falling for honey traps. The contradiction was louder than any insult. While Fresh and Fit focused on defending their pride, Abba and Preach focused on documenting patterns, and patterns are what shape reputations. But when a reputation starts forming in a direction you can't control, the response isn't always consistency in your actions. Sometimes it's a change in tactics. And that's exactly what happened with Fresh and Fit. Soon, their focus slowly moved away from ideas and towards individuals. Disagreements turned into mockery.
We need to change the title to Abba and Preach Roast with credit cards.
Yeah, you know, because unlike those guys, we provide y'all value, give you guys entertainment, roasting those two losers.
Yep.
Give you guys a bunch of credit information as far as like, you know, oh, this is not financial advice, by the way.
Yes,
what credit cards you guys can get. And yeah, we're not going to make stupid faces on you. That's how he sound, bro. Like literally every time you talk, I'll be thinking like, uh-oh, retard alert. This dude licks windows, man.
And the conversation that started around accountability began drifting into personal territory. Fresh and Fit started taking shots at things outside the debate, with one of the most egregious attacks coming in this disgusting clip.
Yo, Preach is like a, it looks like a,
you should see him build momentum. What the
Yo, every time this thing, I got a problem with you.
Imagine them.
Nigga looks like a monkey. Preacher's over there looking like Magilla Grill and Donkey Kong having a baby.
Their backgrounds, their personal lives, even people connected to them who had nothing to do with the discussion.
This Preacher's married, probably to a fucking beluga whale somewhere.
That shift matters, because attacking a person instead of the point usually means the point isn't winning anymore. And when logic leaves the conversation, emotion takes the wheel. That's the worst place Fresh and Fit could have gone, because their entire brand was built on emotional control, discipline, stoicism, and being the most rational voice in the room. Even their longtime viewers began seeing through them and finding it really disturbing. The fact that he dragged Preach's wife into this says a lot, a whole lot. He's a fragile individual with unsolved childhood trauma. When a man insults another man's wife in an altercation, there's no turning back. I've lost all respect for Fresh and Fit. I love how Fresh and Fit never really addressed the differing of opinions. They just start insulting. That's when you know you have no substance behind your words. Even people who agreed with Fresh and Fit's ideology started pulling back. Yo, I'm straight up embarrassed for Fresh and Fit. They sound like the OnlyFans girls they have on their show. That emotional spiral led to the moment where they made an irrational change to Abba and Preach.
We say the facts, we give our L's and our W's, right? So real talk, man, we put out an invite. If y'all want to talk, come back in the studio, we'll talk about it. Or we could box about it too. Cause I'm in the gym now, you feel me? I'm feeling nice right now. I'm wired right now.
Fresh wants to box with Preach, bro. Fresh wants to box with Preach,
bro. So you know what? Come back to Miami. Let's box it out. Talk it out too. How about that? We're here waiting.
Yo, no, but like real talk, man.
This was completely wild when you think about it. Two creators known for talking were now trying to settle an argument with fists. And Preach, who had endured enough of Fresh and Fit's disrespect, was more than happy to squabble up.
Let's go. Let's go.
Yo, nigga.
You want to talk? I'll be there.
Okay, you know what?
I wasn't there last time. I wasn't. But now you want to do this?
You want to set up the box, man?
Let's go.
Okay, we can set it up.
Both of you. Let's go.
Hey, man.
You want to do this? Let's go. Let's go. I'll be there. Yeah, he's just going to do it from... Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Next week, I'll be there.
Okay, listen. At the end of the day, listen, I'm not here to have people fight and advocate, but Preach, you your own man.
That is not me that said that.
Go.
I did not say that.
Hey,
I had no problem with it.
Hey,
you're going to bring my wife and you're going to be my country in this? No problem, Brendan. Let's do this. I don't care.
Moreover, walking away at that point would have been seen as a fear. And in their world, reputation is everything, especially when pride, image, and the chance to whoop your opponent's ass are on the line.
You have to understand that when you talk some shit, there's consequences. Let's do it. I might lose this whole shit. Not a problem. I'll be there next week.
And that's when something strange happened. Once the challenge was accepted, the energy shifted again. Suddenly, it wasn't so simple anymore. Fresh and Fit began showing once more how big of clowns they really were.
You proposed a fight, talk shit, then when the person accepted, you're like, I'll bring $500,000. I offered you $20,000 to just show up. Win or lose, you were going to get paid. Hand you the check beforehand. And you still cowered out talking about, no, we need to get promoters and all. These guys think everything is about money.
The same people who pushed for physical confrontation now seemed less eager to make it happen. It looked like a complete retreat, earning them callouts from the viewers. Myron has Chihuahua energy. As soon as he gets called out on his bark, he doesn't want smoke anymore. From that point on, it became obvious that the boxing match was never going to move forward. Fresh and Fit were synonymous to a joke. Because on the internet, you don't lose credibility when you lose a fight. You lose it when people realize you can't back up the talk. Fresh and Fit issued the challenge, but couldn't stand 10 toes down. But the hits wouldn't stop there. As a result of the chain of actions and controversies the podcast's hosts had been involved in, their channel lost over 30,000 subscribers that month, with 22K of those vanishing on a single day. And when Fresh and Fit saw they were on the losing end of this public war, they did something that no one ever expected. You see, Fresh and Fit have never been the guys to man up, reason differently, or even take accountability for their actions. They would rather mock or crash out when faced with opposers.
We are better than you, period.
So you can understand how surprising it was to see them offer a genuine apology.
On this podcast, we talk about accountability, okay?
Yeah.
And we are not above taking accountability. And I'm going to tell you guys right now, we made a mistake, okay? It is not cool to insult a man's country and or wife live on air. We should have kept the disagreement on the topic and not the people.
Yep.
Okay? Smart people discuss ideas, stupid people discuss people. And we made a mistake, all right? So with that said, we apologize, okay, for talking about his wife, his country, and making ad hominem attacks on them. They're fellow YouTubers. If we have disagreements, we're going to have disagreements, but the way we went about it was not right.
Apart from the fact that the comments were turned off for that video, this suspicious apology would still be followed by talks about the boxing match, with Fit seeming like he wasn't on board with the new program. Fit still went on to speak about the boxing match, not showing any signs of remorse.
That being said, the boxing, you got our number, hit us up on the side. You know where we're at. We're in Miami, so let's do it.
Yeah.
Suddenly, it didn't feel like accountability. It was more like someone realizing that they lost control of the narrative and were trying to salvage what was left of their reputation. But that only poured more fuel on the already blazing fire. Because even after the apology and after the boxing challenge fell apart, Fresh and Fit still hadn't learned the most important lesson. When you're losing a PR battle, the worst thing you can do is escalate. Because when you do so consistently, the fire you've kindled might become way too hot for you to bear. Fresh and Fit would make a decision that turned their credibility crisis into a full-blown disaster. They started filing copyright strikes against multiple commentary channels that had criticized them, especially ABBA and Preach.
Fresh and Fit decided to hit us with dozens of copyright claims. We saw this was probably going to end up coming, and honestly, not upset about it at all.
And if you know anything about YouTube culture, you know what that means. Filing false DMCA and copyright claims isn't just frowned upon, it's basically declaring war on the entire commentary community. Fresh and Fit claimed that these videos were hate and attacks on their integrity. They even announced that they'd hired a legal team to make critics face the consequences.
Yeah, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're back. You know what I'm saying? The haters tried to kill us. Over 30 plus YouTube channels made videos like slandering our name, whatever it is. Now they're mad that there's consequences of actions, bro. Y'all are not going to be able to run around and drag our name in the mud with, you know, falsely without some kind of recourse.
But the funniest part of all of these is that the legal team turned out to be just a paralegal with no real authority. And even worse, people publicly corrected them, explaining why their copyright strategy was bound to fail.
They don't understand. For the life of me, so I have to say that I gave people too much credit for being intelligent. They're not, because they don't understand what fair use actually is. They don't understand that, like, if you're reporting news or you're adding, are you changing it in any way, you don't have to even do it in good faith. And this is, and just let's just go down this route of thinking. MSNBC and Fox News both say the same story, totally different. There are no copyright strikes. There's no lawsuit about it because you're allowed to give your slant and your opinion on it. It doesn't have to be in good faith.
For a podcast that positioned itself as crusaders for free speech, for hosts who constantly criticize censorship, they were now using YouTube's copyright system to silence criticism. The hypocrisy was impossible to ignore, and the internet never forgets hypocrisy.
Adam Griffin says, can you ask why these clowns tried to take down Abba and Preach with fake DMCA strikes?
It became clear that when tested, when genuinely challenged, when forced to defend their positions with more than just confidence, Fresh and Fit crumbled. They attacked personally instead of intellectually. At every single turn, they chose the weakest possible response, and they all backfire, costing them much more than they could have imagined. Because somewhere along the line, Fresh and Fit were removed from the YouTube partner program for repeated guideline violations, thus wiping out one of their biggest income streams.
Is this the end, bro? Because we got some bad news, man. I mean, when I heard that, I was shocked because I mean, we love YouTube, man.
Yeah.
We love streaming.
Yeah.
And at this point, I feel like our whole lives are revolved around streaming and like adding value to people online. It's just like it won't be the same, bro.
It showed just how far things have gone downhill, to the point that they were being this vulnerable with an audience they've always told to suppress emotion and stay tough.
I shouldn't be admitting this, but saving children, right? That was great, but saving you guys is better.
There's one thing that people often miss about this story. Abba and Preach didn't destroy Fresh and Fit, but Fresh and Fit destroyed themselves. Abba and Preach simply provided the mirror, and in doing so, they exposed the fundamental flaw in Fresh and Fit's entire operation. Their brand wasn't built on genuine expertise or tested principle. It was built on performance, on the appearance of strength, on the confidence that comes from never being truly challenged. And the moment that someone challenged them properly, the whole facade fell apart. Now, Fresh and Fit are reduced to making content solely focused on demeaning women, profiting off gullible men subscribing to their Castle Club community, and with their recent appearance vibing out to Kanye's Nazi song, they're nothing more than a group of idiots screaming to the void. My name is Louaista, live from Lou Extras, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.